I was out visiting my folks in California for Thanksgiving a couple of weeks ago and recorded this video about Dad's new chipper shredder, the Bear Cat SC5540.
This chipper was recommended to me by a small engine dealer who thought this was one of the best machines on the market for chipping and shredding. So with my particular application here on the orchard, I have fruit trees, pine trees, brush, a garden, just grapevines, just an entire spectrum of items that need to be chipped and shredded. So I discovered that this model, the SC5540, is the largest combination chipper shredder that's on the market. The main selling point for me with this chipper shredder has to do with the ejection chute. Essentially, the size of the ejected material can be changed by replacing or changing out this little plate right in here to the point where those are 1-inch openings. I can take that down. I think it's as small as 1/2 inch, which for my composting is going to be ideal.
Dad said that most other videos he watched about this unit neglected to spend much time on the shredder function, so he wanted to correct that. Let's take a look inside the shredding chamber. I'll pause it here to point out a couple of things. These are the shredder knives. There are a total of 36. The shredder can take material up to 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and this thicker flywheel on the left is also the backside of the chipper chute. The chipper blade is bolted to the other side, and this slot in the flywheel allows material from the chipper to enter the shredder chamber for further breakdown. There are 4 chipper blades evenly spaced around the flywheel. Looking down the chipper chute at the front side of the flywheel, you can see here one of the blades, and the blades are reversible. As Dad mentioned, there are several different screens available. The one on the far right with the diagonal slots is for wet material. The shredder works great for all sorts of different material. Here are some end-of-season tomato vines that were culled from the vegetable garden. Here's some more material from the garden. And here are some pine needles. And the chipper function easily chews through pine cones. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I make homesteading type videos and also videos about wine and winemaking. I'm in the early stages of starting what I'm calling a homestead winery in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. But I'm not in North Carolina for this video. I'm actually in California, where my folks live on a beautiful 5-acre property in the Sierra foothills. Dad has about 100 fruit trees, apples, peaches, cherries, figs, etc. A good chunk of the trees are apples, and for the past 7 years he's been making hard apple cider. I was able to get some footage of part of that process while I was visiting, so soon I'll get that edited and uploaded to the channel. My stepmom has an extensive herb and vegetable garden, a rose garden, and other ornamentals. A fair bit of the property is wooded with cedars, oaks, pines, and other trees, so there's no shortage of material that needs to be chipped or shredded.
So that's really fine material coming out of there, so I'm really happy to see that. My intent was to have to rent a commercial chipper once or twice a year to get the really large stuff. So I'm not intending on forcing larger material through here than is rated. So I've been running both green and dry branches through the chipper at 5 inches, as long as I can pick them up and shove them in there. It just gobbles them right up. So perhaps we can see that a little bit later on.
After we finished chipping for the day, Dad and I had a conversation about the shield over the PTO shaft and the fact that it doesn't quite cover the U-joint on the chipper side. I'll drop the audio from that conversation in here while Dad demonstrates chipping his freshly felled cedar.
The drive shaft itself required cutting to fit, and the machine, the tractor, the chipper, and the drive shaft were all brand new to me. So I was measuring the distance on the couplers for the outside shield. I made my cut, not realizing that this side was 1 inch longer than this side, which ended up causing the safety cover to be about 1 inch short. For an amateur who'd never done it before, it took longer than it probably should have, and I never was very good at math.
Probably be a good idea to get a new shield.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I was reading an article. It was I think the North Carolina Farm Bureau, or I don't know, these ag-related mailing lists, and they had a story about a farmer that was using a tractor PTO to power a pump, and was wearing a shirt that was unbuttoned, and he just kind of lost track of what he was doing. There was no shield on it whatsoever, but it grabbed that loose bit of his shirt and pulled him in and spun him around 3 times. Fortunately, there was a guy with him that was able to run up and disengage the PTO, but everybody thought for sure he was a goner. Fortunately, he only lost an arm, and he's still farming, but still, I think a PTO is probably one of the most dangerous things on a farm.
This is a very serious piece of equipment and not one to be abused or misused. So safety at all times is important. And I like the idea of inquiring about a new shield. It doesn't impact the operation. The shaft itself, length is fine, but it's just that safety shield.
To contrast that fresh cedar, here's a seasoned oak limb. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and please consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy this sort of content. I'd like to say thank you to my dad for guest starring in this video, and for demonstrating and providing his insights on the Bear Cat SC5540 chipper shredder. We'll wrap up the video here with a couple of his concluding comments, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Cheers.
Especially pleased with the way that the chipper worked.
And what is this thing?
Oh, it's just I fabricated this just to have a potential table when I'm fooling around doing things. I have a spot to lay things. Or if I know I'm going somewhere like out in the orchard and I won't be using the chipper, it just provides a little shelf that is kind of convenient. Yeah, that is the downside on this, is that it's obviously not a commercial chipper with a hydraulic feed or a clutch mechanism in there. So it's, like I said, I think it's absolutely ideal for the application I have for it right here.